In this lesson, we're going to look at special angles. Before we do that, quick introduction on how to do mathematics. Number and copy the examples. Ask your tutor or teacher if there are any steps that you do not understand. Number the questions. Unless you have the ability to get fit while watching someone else run, you must do the questions on your own before watching the answers. Mark your answers. If it is incorrect, write down the corrections. Make sure you understand where you went wrong. This will enable you to do better the next time you attempt a similar sum. Right, now to start off with, our special angles are the following. It's 0, 30, 45, 60 and 90. Now we are going to learn how to find the sine of any of these special angles, sine, cosine or the tan of 30, 45, 60 or 90. And we need to learn how to draw two triangles, a 45-degree triangle and a 30-60 degree triangle. And then also we need to know how to plot the trig graphs. If we know all of those off by heart, then we can find any ratio with the special angle without using a calculator. So to start off with, we have to start with drawing the two triangles. I start by drawing a rectangle and an equilateral triangle. So the rectangle, I make its side length, I make 1 each. So all this side length is 1. The triangle, I make each side equal to 2. The next thing I do is I halve both of them. So this would be 90 degrees. Then if I halve this, this angle here would then be 45 and this one would also be 45. After I halve this triangle, since it's an equilateral triangle, each angle is 60 degrees, and if I halve it, that gives me 30. So now the sides, if I use Pythagoras, then I can work this side out to be the square root of 2. And then if I have this side, which is halved now, it's going to be 1. And then also with Pythagoras, I can work out this side as 3. Alright, so this is the two triangles that you need to know off by heart. This triangle with the 45 degrees and then this 60-30 degree triangle. And then next you need to know how to draw the sine graphs off by heart. So what I do is I normally draw my x-axis and I make 4 points on it. Then I know it goes up to 360. Half of 360 is 180, half of that's 90, and then 270. So you can either learn it that way, or you can just know the degrees 90, 180, 270 and 360. Now sine I know starts at the center, or here at 0, and then it goes over 90, goes through 180, and then over to 70, or underneath to 70, and then through 60. So sine, and then it also only goes up to 1 and down to -1. So sine's graph looks as follows. So you need to know how to draw that with the degrees. If you look at cosine, once again we have our 4 points, and we've got the 360, half of that 180, 90 and 270, and then it also goes only up to 1 and down to -1. Now cosine starts here at 1. Now it does the same. It goes through 1, underneath 1, through 1, over 1. So a point. So if we draw that, it looks as follows. All right. Then the tan graph, once again 360, 180, 90 and 270. And then what's important is it's not restricted from -1 to 1, but it does have restrictions at 90 degrees. The graph never goes over this point. It's undefined at 90. It's also undefined at 270. So it never touches those values. Now, if I draw it, I start also from this point, and then I draw it up, and then also 180. I draw it up, and then I just draw it down here and down here. So that would basically look as follows. Okay, so this is the sum total, or a summary of everything you need to know in order to find the ratios of special angles. So we have these two triangles, and then our graphs. So let's look at an example. So example 5 says evaluate the following without the use of a calculator. So you have 1/3 cos 30 plus cos 0 plus sine 90. So I'm going to start by writing 1/3, and then instead of cos 30 I just write its relationship. So we're going to go to the triangle that contains 30, and cos, I know, is adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent side over hypotenuse is then, so this is 3, so that is then going to be square root of 3/2 plus, now cos 0, so for 0 and 90 I use my graphs. So cos of 0, so this is my cos graph, and at 0 degrees it's equal to 1, so that's just plus 1. And then 90, sine 90, at 90 degrees sine, that's my sine graph, at 90 degrees it's also equal to 1, so that's plus 1. All right, now we can just add these. So this and this will cancel, and then I have a half plus 2, so this half just becomes 4, or actually this 2 becomes 2/4 if I want to add the fraction, so that's 4/2, and this is then just 5/2. So for question 5.1, evaluate the following without the use of calculator. Now tan of 30, so we go to this angle of 30, and tan is opposite over adjacent, so that's 1 over the square root of 3. And then sine of 60, we have the 60, sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that's the square root of 3/2, and that's all over cos of 45. So 45 and cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's 1 over the square root of 2, and then sine of 45, opposite over hypotenuse, 1 over square root of 2. Now to simplify that, these two will cancel, so I have a half, and then 1 times 1 is 1, square root of 2 times the square root of 2 is 2, so a half over half is equal to 1. Question 5.2, evaluate the following. 3/2. So I'm going to rewrite this as cos 60, not the square there. I put the square outside because this is just the notation for cos squared. It means the same as cos 60, the ratio of cos 60 all squared, minus tan 30. So this is then 3/2, and then cos of 60. So 60 from this angle, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that's a half, and squared, minus tan of 30 is opposite over adjacent, so that's 1 over square root of 3. And then we have this square to simplify that, that's 3/2, this becomes times 1/4 minus 1 over the square root of 3. So this becomes 3/8 minus 1 over the square root of 3, and lowest common denominator multiply by 3, square root of 3 multiply by 8, and then we have 3 square root of 3 minus 8 over 8 square root of 3. Now we can type this in the calculator. It would just also give us the value with a rationalized denominator, or we can rationalize the denominator, but what will be best is you can at this point already type it into the calculator. That wouldn't be wrong. It's just as long as you don't use your calculator to get this half, but that you do show that you've used triangles and your graphs. Then for question 5.3, we evaluate the following. Now we have cos 0 degrees plus sine 60 squared plus square root of 2 times by sine 45. Okay, so cos of 0. So we go to the cos graph over here. See, cos of 0 is 1 plus sine 60. We go to this angle, and sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that's square root of 3 over 2 squared plus the square root of 2, and then sine 45 opposite over hypotenuse, so that's 1 over the square root of 2. To simplify, 1 plus this squared just becomes 3 over 4 plus then this, if this is over 1, these two would cancel, and then I'm just left with 1. So this gives me then 2 plus 3 over 4. If I put this over 4, multiplying top and bottom with 4, I get 8 over 4 plus 3 over 4, and my answer is then going to be 11 over 4.